Western Mass News is your school authority. A statewide school mask mandate expected to be issued as soon as tomorrow for everyone inside public schools, whether they're vaccinated or not. Good Tuesday evening, everyone. I'm Chris Pisano.
And I'm Jordyn Jagolinzer. The commissioner at the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education was given the authorization to do this earlier today. Western Mass News reporter Leon Purvis joins us live after talking with local residents who have differing views on this. Leon?
Yeah, Jordyn, Chris, I spoke with a student in Southwick and a parent in East Longmeadow, two communities that have previously chosen to make masks voluntary. Now, both of them have opposing viewpoints about the pending statewide mask mandate in schools.
When they made it optional, I would not have sent her with a mask on.
Justin McCarthy was happy with the East Longmeadow School Committee's decision to make masks optional in school, but that could change Wednesday, when the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education Commissioner Jeffrey Riley is expected to mandate masks for students and staff in all public schools, regardless of their vaccination status, after receiving the go-ahead from the DESE board on Tuesday.
The next best option would be to have it be a choice of the community. The last place we want it is either the state or the federal government mandating it universally.
Justin has a 7-year-old daughter. He says wearing a mask in school is not easy for her.
She struggles to wear it. It's distracting. She was 6 last year. She's 7 this year. That means she's losing her baby teeth. All right, she has teeth wiggling in her mouth. Her impulse is to, poke at them.
Another school committee that left masks optional, Southwick, Tolland, Granville Regional School District, but one 13-year-old student tells Western Mass News he doesn't mind them.
I honestly think everyone should wear a mask just to be safe.
I asked Southwick student Kane Carr, would it feel weird to go back to school masking up?
We did it last year. I think it'll be less weird because we already did it for a year.
Commissioner Riley is expected to keep the mask mandate in place for everyone 5 years and older, kindergarten through 12th grade at least until the end of September. But this team thinks it should be longer.
I think everyone should wear it the whole year, the whole school year, just to be safe.
Now, the Massachusetts Teachers Association is calling the school mask mandate a significant advancement, but still would like to see vaccinations required for school staff and eligible students. Live in Springfield, Leon Purvis, Western Mass News.
Leon, thank you for that live report. As students prepare to return to the classroom this fall, some parents are still concerned about the rise in COVID-19 cases. We know that the virus infects people by traveling through air particles. So parents are wondering, is the air in their child's school safe? Paula Osliowski of Johns Hopkins University says schools should update their HVAC systems to allow in more outside air and to add air filters to classrooms. We asked the superintendent of Springfield Public Schools, Daniel Warwick, if the district plans to implement any of these changes. He tells us they're working to keep their students and staff safe.
We took a look at our schools in light of COVID. We wanted to change the standard for air quality from the typical standard to meeting an ASHRAE standard, the highest level standard.
Warwick says the district hired an industrial hygienist to evaluate the air quality in each of the district's buildings. Then the city invested millions of dollars to improve the air systems in each and every school, including adding new filters.
The details of the deadly COVID-19 outbreak at the Holyoke Soldiers' Home brought to light once more as 2 of the former administrators of the home faced a judge today. Former Superintendent Bennett Walsh and former Medical Director David Clinton faced caretaker bodily injury charges and neglect charges handed down by the Attorney General after 77 veterans died from the outbreak.
Today in court, they sought to dismiss those charges against them as family members of the veterans who died watched. Western Mass News reporter Audrey Russo is live with the details. Audrey.
No decision was ultimately made today as to whether or not they dismissed those charges, even after an all-day hearing.
Everything was just so mismanaged and chaotic up there.
Lori Mandeville-Baudette's father, James, died after she says he was in the fray of the COVID-19 outbreak at the Holyoke Soldiers' Home last spring.
He was supposedly COVID negative, and within 48 hours he was showing signs of COVID at the Holyoke Medical Center, and he died within a week and a half of being down there.
Her father is not one of the 5 veterans named in the Attorney General's case, bringing criminal neglect and bodily injury charges against former Home Superintendent Bennett Walsh and former Medical Director David Clinton. But as she sat with other family members of late veterans, listening to the defendant's lawyers try to get the charges dismissed in court, it brought up one emotion.
It's infuriating.
Bennett Walsh's attorney contending that he didn't fit the definition of a primary caregiver to the vets, and that mere exposure to COVID-19 doesn't constitute a bodily injury.
The Commonwealth failed to produce evidence of direct bodily injury, an element of the crime, to the grand jury. The reason they failed is because there wasn't any bodily injury.
But the attorneys for the Commonwealth argue that the top-down decision made by the Homes Administration to consolidate ill and healthy veterans into one dementia unit exposed the residents to COVID-19.
Exposure to a virus, which for these individuals, dementia patients, veterans, who were frail and elderly, that would not constitute bodily injury.
As for Mandeville-Baudette, who placed her father in the care of the home, she tells Western Mass News she wants to see accountability at every level.
They were the captain of the ship, and they let the ship sink.
The next date for this case is October 28th. In the meantime, a worker at the Soldiers' Home has filed a civil case against 5 of the upper managers at the home during the time of the pandemic. That case includes David Clinton and Bennett Walsh, and it alleges that those 5 upper managers threatened the civil rights of the employees at the home. Live in Springfield, Audrey Russo for Western Mass News.
We are finally free of any tropical rainfall. Temperatures today have rebounded significantly from the last few days with the help of some sunshine. So far today, our highs have hit 89 in Westfield, Chicopee, Springfield, Orange hit 87, and we had some lower to middle 80s in the Berkshires. As far as current conditions, we are still in the upper 80s for Springfield. Dew points are close to 70. We have a beautiful blue sky, lots of sunshine and breezes at about 10 miles an hour out of the west-northwest. Temperatures are starting to dip a little bit, but we are going to stay warm throughout the rest of the evening. And dew points are going to stay on the high side. That's something that's going to last through the end of the week, with some relief coming late on Friday. The heat index right now is still lower 90s for the Pioneer Valley. We could see it approach 100 by Thursday of this week, so it is going to get worse before it gets better. Right now, the radar not showing anything, which is a nice change. There was 1 or 2 showers in Franklin County this afternoon, but those are long gone, and we should stay clear for the rest of the evening. We're back down to the lower 70s by 11 p.m. with light and variable breezes, and a little bit of patchy fog is possible overnight, with temperatures falling toward the middle 60s. Now, tomorrow is going to be a hot and sunny day with highs approaching the low 90s. We'll take a look at the rest of this week's forecast in just a few minutes. Back to you.
Janna, thanks. An update now to a story we first brought you over this weekend. State police have identified the victims of a fatal crash on I-91 in Holyoke. Officials say 65-year-old Judith Keating and Michelle Swaller of Milford, Connecticut, and Wallace Sherman Jr. of Gloversville, New York, all died in the accident. Police say Sunday night about 6 p.m., a Subaru with 1 occupant was traveling the wrong way on I-91 and crashed into another car with 2 people. Both drivers were pronounced dead there at the scene. The passenger of the second car was in critical condition, but later died. Police are still investigating.
New at 6, the courts at the Eastfield Mall are temporarily closed after mold was found in 3 of the 16 old theaters. Mall spokesperson Dave Thompson tells us the mold is located on the stairs in each showing room and in some of the seats. Thompson believes it to be a white mold, which he says is harmless. He thinks that it could be a humidity issue caused by the building's HVAC system. A team was brought in to remove the mold, and they got rid of it to the naked eye by last Friday morning, but it did come back a few days later. Thompson tells us he had a meeting with the state today, and they're trying to figure out where the mold came from.
Springfield police are looking for suspects in the city's latest case of catalytic converter thefts.
It's a growing crime not only here in Western Mass, but across the country. Western Mass News reporter Matt Satilli has the latest.
This is a national problem that's been growing through the past few years.
Surveillance photos captured suspects between 1 and 2 a.m. on August 16th as catalytic converters were stripped from 6 vans at a Springfield business. That business, which asked to remain anonymous, hit for the second time. Ryan Walsh, public information officer for the Springfield Police Department, tells Western Mass News he's seen a few dozen cases in the city this year. Locally, a school bus company in Agawam, a truck dealership in West Springfield, and residents in Chicopee and Ludlow all affected. While the city of Springfield can deter the sale of catalytic converters through an online database, that's not the case elsewhere.
Their laws in different states may not force them to track those items.
We also spoke with David Vitavelli, the owner of Lindale Garage in Springfield. He calls the theft a quick and easy operation.
Some of them use like a tubing cutter. It doesn't make any noise, and they've stolen right from the driveway.
Vitavelli tells me at his garage they've worked on at least 15 cars over the last 2 years with stolen catalytic converters, and some models go for 4 figures.
The Toyota Prius, you know, they tell me that the salvage people pay $1,000 for them.
And his business has even fallen victim.
The kid went underneath the car without jacking it up or anything and came out with the converter.
So what can you do? Vitavelli says there are products you can install to deter thieves, but they can run $200 to $300. Ryan Walsh suggests that businesses utilize cameras and alarm systems, and residents park close to their homes.
If you can't park in a garage, back your car up, utilize cameras, utilize motion sensor lights.
This is an ongoing investigation. Anyone with any information is advised to contact the Springfield Police Department. Reporting in Springfield, Matt Satilli, Western Mass News.